Hi, this is Michael Uslan. You're listening to Batman on Film.
I'm vengeance.
I have given a name to my pain.
The Batman.
Always waiting for some Batman to save you.
It's simple. We kill the Bat of Gotham. I'm Batman.
Welcome to episode number 73 of the Batman on Film Social Hour. Now, I still have to think, make sure I didn't say satellite show. Social Hour. I am Bill Ramey. I am the founder of Batman on Film. And Ryan Lauer, senior BOF contributor. I am not going to mention that or even ask you if you knew I founded Batman on Film on a web TV in 1998. I'm not even going to say anything about it this time. How about that?
I don't think you need to. I mean, I don't know about you, but I got some response from fans being like, "Oh, I remember that awards show where
yeah,
you guys talked about it at that awards show, and Pete with his boudin sausage in his pocket, cooking on the side of the streets in New York." I mean, people remember. So more people remember than we thought.
I don't even have to mention it. We don't even have to mention it on today's show.
But 1998, right? It was 1998.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, got it. We're good.
Remember we spent a day at the horse track and
right there in downtown New York City.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Weirdest spot for a horse track.
Yeah. And we knew it had to be a good weekend because we were hitting like every race, hitting the trifecta, picking winners.
I forget how much did you win that day?
I think I won about $300,000 that day.
That sounds right. I won like $13.50.
Oh.
It was an okay day. Then
I just pissed it away on Bunko Pops and Batman collectibles.
Yeah, they were around. I think that was the year that they launched, and you're like, I think these are going to be a hit. So
yeah. So I mean,
you helped them out.
As soon as I won it,
mm-hmm.
it's like it was like the Joker in The Dark Knight, and just setting money on fire.
Yeah, you don't need this to be happy.
Yeah, just set it on fire.
You're running Batman on Film. You're fine.
Yeah. That was it. Boy, those were the days. So
weren't they? The 90s.
Yeah.
Time to be alive.
Well, this here podcast, like many of them, is part of the Batman Podcast Network, hosted by us here at Batman on Film. Go check out all the shows. Just go to Batman on Film, find podcasts. There's a drop-down menu, take you to that page on the website, or there's a logo also on the right-hand side, or just scroll on your phone. You'll find it. It actually says Batman Podcast Network, BPN. So this is the show of all shows. This new series here at Batman on Film. It's called The Batman, chapter by chapter, where we are breaking down the film by each chapter. Obviously, that's why it has that witty name, chapter by chapter, Ryan.
Yeah. It all makes sense.
Yeah, it's all connected. And so we're on chapter 2 of the film. It's called Happy Effin' Halloween. Now we're coming up with the names. Sometimes, I am being serious. The DVD, the Blu-ray is broken down by chapter. They're just numbered on the Blu-ray. Sometimes they are titled. I have not come across any version of the Batman where these chapters are pre-titled. How about you? Are you in this? Do you know otherwise?
Well, I don't remember. If anybody's listened to the social hours that we've talked about the Batman, I have held out and only watched the Batman in the theater and on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
So, like you said, with the Blu-ray, yeah, I haven't come across that. I have not checked it out digitally, which maybe I can pull it up through your favorite service, Apple.
Yes.
I can pull it up on there while we're talking and see if they have the chapters. But
I think it's kind of fun for us just to come up with these witty chapter titles on our own anyway. So
yeah.
So last week on the last show, we talked about chapter 1, I'm Vengeance. So check that show out if you have not. That was been, and really it's been a big hit. I think people are enjoying breaking down this movie. Us breaking down this movie, Team Batman on Film. All the guys are wanting to jump on some of these shows with us. So you'll not only will you hear me and Ryan along the way, but I'm sure the other boys will come on board. Mike is going to come on board, Micah Ramey, at some point. So let's get right into it. So in part 1, Batman, we were introduced to the Batman. And then chapter 2, this is just right straight up, gets right into the thick of the detective aspect of Batman, I would say. So, I mean, the whole scene is pretty much a detective scene, right?
Say it again.
I said the whole scene, the whole chapter is a detective scene.
Yep. Through.
From the get-go. So, I mean, it starts out, Batman at the end of chapter 1, Batman sees the bat signal. He looks up, and then it cuts to him walking through a sea of Gotham police officers at the crime scene that we witnessed at the very beginning of the film, the murder of the mayor by the Riddler, which they don't know it's the Riddler at that time, obviously. And
which I don't know. There's something. Yeah. There's always a reason for it. But for that first person perspective, and making scenes hit harder, moments hit harder, feel more personal, more like smaller and more. Like, I don't know. And I know we were treated to that, the first Fandom trailer of it's like walking down this tunnel of police and all just looking at him with that look of like, oh shit.
Yeah.
On their face.
Yeah.
And also the closest kind of scene to this, maybe The Dark Knight, when the 2 police officers are murdered in the apartment and Batman shows up. And that's just 2 officers, Ramirez and Gordon, are there.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the first time like he's there at a crime scene with a shit ton of police.
Mm-hmm.
The closest he's been to as many. I don't know. It's cool.
Maybe he shows up in Batman Forever and says,
"That's true."
Two-Face.
Yeah.
To Gordon, but it's completely different.
Yeah. Just a little bit of vibe. Just a little bit.
Yeah. So most of the cops, speaking of that, they're looking at him like, what the hell? And but not saying anything, but good old
your boy.
Yes, Officer Martinez comes through and whoa.
Yeah.
I counted the woes. I think there were 27 woes.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah. He stops him. This is a crime scene. This is police here. Buddy, what the hell you doing here? And then Gordon pipes in, but Gordon says, he's with me, officer. Let him through. And Martinez lets the Batman in and gives him a goddamn freak.
Yeah. And he lays on that K pretty good.
Yeah.
I know that is really looking into it. But that's why we're doing chapter by chapter, but it's like,
yes.
Freak. like a really good like.
Yes. Yes. I'm really watching these, by isolated chapter. So I'm, really looking for details. See if I pick up anything that I didn't see in the previous 45 times I've watched the movie. But I'm struck by Pattinson's eye acting in this scene throughout.
Mhm.
Even when Martinez stops him, his eyes are saying a lot, and he's not saying a word verbally.
So just to be clear, in live action, you think we should see the eyes of the man
Of
in
course.
the cowl? Okay, just didn't know if you made that clear before or not.
And with all seriousness,
yeah.
seriousness, imagine Pattinson not having that tool of his eyes in this film and taking that. I think that's a huge impact lost just because people are like, it'd be cool if he had lenses.
I'm not saying that it never would be cool.
Yeah.
That I welcome the challenge of, Matt Reeves in the next one, it's going to hide his eyes and use lenses or something. And it looks cool, makes sense, and whatever. It's like, awesome. I'll never close the door on it, but I think that we just have moments where there's evidence, I think clearly of, see, this just works so much better than if we couldn't see the eyes. Keaton was higher. That Burton even said it was his eyes. Like that really sold him. And we see in 89, I just instantly think of him in the cowl of stepping into the light when he's got Vicky down in the cave.
Yes.
And all we see is just his eyes. And it's like, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
And then, like you just said here, Pattinson, I mean, there's so many moments for, Batman's not supposed to talk a lot. So then what do you do? His eyes, he works his eyes. And I think this scene, I mean, I don't know. This is a strong case for,
Martinez he looks at Martinez, but he's also looking, you see his eyes darting. He's looking at the crime scene. He's registering in his mind. And as we find out, speaking of lenses, Ryan, he's recording the whole damn thing with his contact lenses that are also cameras. I thought that was a really cool addition. I think we've seen that with Scott Snyder.
Yeah,
before.
I was gonna say, I think Scott Snyder did that in the New 52 comics.
And I believe he used that as Bruce Wayne. But pretty awesome. I thought it was really cool, and we'll get to that. So Gordon gets him in there, and there's the mayor duct taped up, and no more lies across those framed newspaper front pages that the mayor had. That was clearly, we saw it clear in chapter 1 when the Riddler was staking out his home. And of course there's the paper bag on his hand, and the Batman comes through, and he's just observing, not saying it. How many lines does he have during that whole scene?
2, if
he says what?
Or no, he says, now is this say exocytosis or something like that about the thumb being
cut off when he was already dead.
Says the term, and then says, blood around the wound or something like that. And then I think that might be it.
And he also later on he says he lies still.
Oh yeah.
But that's about it. As far as the verbal, and then the rest is his eyes and watching. We see more as he approaches the crime scene, and I listened. When we see his boots again, we do hear the boom. Not not as pronounced as it was when we first see Batman coming out of the darkness, out of the shadows in chapter 1, but they're still playing into the boots and the boom, 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 I'm listening. I went back. I think that you are right. There's just a hint in that first chapter of a little metal, little clink.
Oh yeah,
with it, just a little. Not sure. I listened. I don't know if I hear that. Of course, he's also walking on a wood floor. So, but they play into that again. You see the Batman in his boots, and he's the boom, boom, boom.
How do you take so everyone else who doesn't really, so we know how Martinez feels, but those police as he's walking through, and then this detective who's right there at the mayor's body, how do you take them, like their reaction? Because then when when the commissioner comes in, it's pretty clear how he feels, and it's clear how Martinez feels because they're both very vocal about it. But as far as the others, they're just using their eyes also. So how do you think they're?
I mean, okay, my interpretation of Batman, of what his relationship is with the police force at that time, is that there's maybe like Martinez, he seems to be like very by the books, younger police officer, whoa, this crime, this police here, maybe the others appreciate what Batman is doing or what he's done in the last year or two, because I mean, he's right there with them, and they're not protesting. And he's got, I would say also maybe leads me to believe that they have a lot of respect for Gordon. And if Gordon is okay with the Batman and there's a bat signal and Gordon is working with Batman, I mean, obviously he's worked with Batman before this events of the movie. Maybe that is kind of like that makes it okay in their eyes. What do you think? I'm off base here.
I think that the Gordon part plays the heaviest hand, because the fact that he comes in with Gordon that's where they're all okay. But I think that they're all still hesitant, maybe overwhelmed. Not overwhelmed. Maybe his presence is, I don't know, maybe his presence is overwhelming for him. Because the detective is distracted by him being there. The one with the flashlight and explaining everything to Gordon, and then he even in walking, which got a laugh like every time.
The one that bumps into him,
bumps into him, and then he's like, "Excuse me." Yeah. It is like they're all still. It doesn't feel necessarily normal that he's there. So yeah, I mean. That, and I mean, and there's a combination of things with his 2 lines. I remember mentioning this to you before in a review episode of I love, he's got 2 lines. It's not that he's in the Batman's in like his own world, even though he kind of is, but it's like he makes his dominance known on delivering those 2 lines. It's a conversation between Gordon and that detective. Just looked up so that I know what his name is, but they're talking. Batman just jumps right in to tell him, like, no, this is what it is. It's exocytosis or whatever.
Yeah, because Gordon says all that blood came from his head wound.
Yeah,
and he mentions no, it was from his thumb, and
thumb.
And they're thinking
it was alive when it happened. He was still alive.
Yeah, he was alive, and they took he took it as a souvenir, and Batman just chimes in, says what it is.
So, I mean, it's like
it's like he's aware of their conversation, right?
Mm-hmm. He's listening,
but he's also aware of everything that's going on in the whole room at the same time, and the crime scene. And I like how the camera points out things that Batman is seeing as well.
Okay.
Sometimes
IMDb even lists him as lead detective. So he doesn't even. Okay. Poor guy doesn't even get a name. Lead detective.
Yeah. Lead detective. That's.
I mean, he makes the most of his time, I think, for that little bit too, though. I know I've watched the movie quite a few times and everything, but I don't know. It's an important scene, and he's a big part of it. And then as I'm jumping ahead here, but as Commissioner Savage comes in, I mean, he and Gordon are also having a conversation, and Batman just chimes right in. And it's like both things that he says are like it's information that these police and detectives don't have. So it's kind of like, how mad are you at the guy? Because he's giving you info that you need to continue.
What the hell's going on here?
Okay. I don't know. He's a little distracting to me because I feel like he comes in almost too much. And then also the tone of, hey, what's going on here? They have like weird high pitched something. It still kind of gets me where I'm like, man, I don't know that I like you. Which, I mean, you can see later on. Maybe it's justified then.
Okay, really getting deep. And this is the whole purpose of this. As we end up, spoiler alert, we know he's involved with it all, with the whole corruption, Maroni, and taking Maroni down and inserting Falcone as the de facto mayor and the boss of the entire freaking city. And he's part of it. So he knows that the mayor's part of it, right? And I know that's the first one, but there's got to be a little bit of, if he's involved as well, he's one of these higher ups in Gotham who's part of this nonsense, this corruption. His fire is kind of heating up on his ass. Got to be a little bit, just a little bit. Did
he say? He said. I mean, he says in the conference at the end of like his friend, didn't he? Didn't he say that? Like, I thought he mentioned that like a friend, but yeah, definitely. I think criminals in which, I don't know, would you classify them as criminals? It's like the mayor and the commissioner. Are they criminals for being a part of this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
I know it's corruption, but I don't know if you would I don't know. But when another one who's, you do dealings with, I think it would create paranoia.
There's got to be a little combination of the fact that he considered the mayor, his friend, and he's in corruption cahoots with the mayor as well. Yeah. Maybe not putting it all together yet. I
think Reeves said in the commentary that he even had that what we see in the movie is toned down. I thought that he said that he came in even like more full of piss and vinegar coming in. Hey, what's going on here? Hey, I don't know. I think he's
part of this, shows him the car to the Batman.
He comes in pretty strong. So I'm glad that he's limited, but he obviously does serve a purpose, and not for what happens in a later chapter, but just in this one, you have someone. Okay, he and Gordon go back a long ways.
They're partners.
He used to be partners.
Yeah.
He's the commissioner, so he's higher up than Gordon.
And he is allowing the Batman to Batman in Gotham over these last 2 years, because he even says to Gordon, I'm cutting you I've been cutting you a lot of slack because we were partners, but this is over the line or whatever he says, because it's the mayor and he's there's so much, I guess the political ramifications of it are playing in, but he's letting the Batman be in there for a little while longer.
So these are like things, and I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, Bill, these are some of the greatest lines ever written in a Batman movie, but it's a good way to give backstory without grabbing the audience's hand and being like, let's show you, let's do a montage of, of the Pete and Jim's policing in Gotham little montage or something. It's just 3 lines?
Yeah.
3 lines, but then you're able to tell, okay, so they used to be partners. They have a long history. He's kind of allowed Batman to do his thing in Gotham for a little while now.
Yeah, because Batman
took 6 seconds to give a little bit more history.
Up until the events of the Batman, he's not a threat to any of those guys. He is
beating up thugs.
Yeah.
So, okay, cool. Yeah.
Street level stuff that they can't police effectively.
Look at this, the benefits of chapter by chapter. And we're on episode 2. And I actually hadn't considered that yet, or even thought about that he's all is fine while he's doing that. But as soon as he starts to interfere with something that could like, hey.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's good too to add in there of Martinez's hesitation with him, and then the commissioner's hesitation. Completely different reasons why. So that's fun. Wow.
This episode of the Batman on Film Social Hour is brought to you by Athletic Greens. So what is this stuff? What is Athletic Greens? With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, and probiotics to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. All of these things. AG1 is lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free. AG1 contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, while still tasting good. It also supports better sleep quality and recovery, and it supports mental clarity and alertness. So how much is this going to cost? AG1 will cost you less than $3 a day. It's cheaper than getting all your different supplements yourself. You're investing in an all-in-one nutritional insurance. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/emerging. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/emerging to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. All right, Ryan, let's get back to the show and continue our discussion of Chapter 2 of the Batman. Happy effing Halloween. So he orders him out. Batman is still Batmaning it up a little bit, checking everything out. He notices small blood print on the floor. The camera pans to it from Batman's point of view. Batman says nothing, but looks at Gordon, and Gordon goes, yeah, the kid found him. And then Batman sees the kid, who has no lines in the film, but is in the film throughout almost. Very first scene, the second chapter at the crime scene at the church, right before the Gil Colson comes in with the bomb around his neck. And then, of course, at the end, the finale.
It seems like... So let me ask you first.
Yeah.
What were you thinking when the camera goes? You start to hear the guitar, the Nirvana song, camera goes, the kid to Batman to the kid.
It's a way to remind the audience of how he became Batman and why he became Batman without revisiting the Wayne murders again.
So it seems, and that's exactly what I thought. It seems like it's something that would be obvious for us because we're hardcore Batman nerds. I wonder if that's, well, yeah, everybody got that. If all of us did, if general audience thought the exact same thing, or if they're just in it and I don't know, I didn't think about it. He's just like looking at the kid and he's sad for the kid because the kid had to find his you know what I mean? I wonder if there was that connection.
If you walk, let me ask you this. If you walk, let's see, if you walk the streets of your town or just went door to door and went into, say you went into I don't know, a Target, and you're at Target and you're looking for,
I'm always at Target,
Funko Pops and other things. And you just randomly go up to people and say, tell me Batman's origin story. Out of 10 people, how many people say, well, his parents were killed in front of him when he was a little kid?
Yeah, I would push toward
7.
I was going to say 8.
I would say 7 or 8. So I would say that my point is, I would say most people probably,
they thought,
the majority, not 7 or 8 out of 10 of all the 1,000 people who watched the movie, but at least 60, 70% probably got that. It's very subtle. It is subtle.
Yeah. But I'm also in a spot where I'm so zeroed in on it that I would just assume, but then I don't know, maybe not as many people thought of it as I would expect. But as you said, I mean, it's another way to, what do you want to say? Give some depth, not give depth to the story. I don't know the term. I mean, just like the history of
you're supplying background information and history without going through a flashback of Wayne murders again.
Yeah.
That would have annoyed me if they had done that.
Yeah. I love this. Okay, we get it. We get it. We know.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a reward in that, and you're not treating us, the audience, like we're idiots. We get it. Without you having to look at us and say, this is what's going on here.
I will say this. Let me ask you this. I came out and also interpreted it this way. This is after my first screening. Not an interpretation, but something I thought I with the kid. And Batman, obviously, I get what this kid's going through, right? He's also probably reliving his parents being murdered. Okay. I thought I can see how Bruce Wayne at some point would bring in a kid who would be this universe's version of Robin at some point, that he would take in a kid who was like him in a way, because the kid does, and it kind of that idea. And I'm, me, I'm like a solo Batman. I'm not a huge Robin sidekick guy, and no Robin. If there never was a Robin in the Batman universe, I wouldn't be upset. I get the character's importance. But that was part of my thinking, even after the first screening, because of seeing that kid throughout the film. Did that cross your mind at all?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And then, of course, as I thought more about it, this is after the movie, it's like, but all right, well, he still has one parent.
I don't think they're setting him up to be Robin. You know what I'm saying?
There's a Tim Drake aspect there, but just flip. He's still got his mom instead of his dad. And then also, But maybe who says it has to be him? You know what? They've planted a seed to where if Matt Reeves feel like that's what he wants to do, he can make it work. It's there. But I
don't know if that I don't think it has to be the kid, and the kid is the future Robin, and then this is all foreshadowing.
Yeah,
that's my take on it. I just think,
as bad as it sounds, he served his purpose in this movie.
Yeah.
So,
I just think it shows Batman, or this Bruce Wayne, this Batman would be willing, has empathy for someone who's gone through something like him, because he shows it to this kid. You know, that's just me. That's my interpretation. I'm not like, oh, Matt Reeves is setting up Robin. He's going to be Robin in the future, you know. Like everyone said in Batman Begins, you know, that kid he throws that gadget to, you know, he sees and when he's
is this Robin?
Yeah. So I don't think everything doesn't have to end up. I think the kid is more of a to represent, like we talked about, Bruce Wayne, remind us of why he's Batman, remind us how and why he became Batman, and also show the empathy he has for, you know, a kid. You know, he's got to be thinking, I know what you feel like. You know, he's like looking at him, and Gordon's even going, come on, we really got to go, man. You know,
we really got to go, man.
Yeah.
And here we go again. We're seeing, you mentioned the newspapers, but it's got the Maroney bust on it. So throwing his name in there again. Maroney drug bust.
Yep.
Biggest one in the city's history. All right. Noted. Jot that down.
I bet you Maroney ends up in the Penguin series.
Because there's a picture of his arrest in one of the papers, but it's so far away that you can't really tell. So they're able to cast whoever they want.
I bet his conviction is thrown out, and he's released from prison, and he returns to Gotham. Here I am. We're going to write the Penguin for Matt Reeves, and the Penguin will be, you know, there's this power vacuum in Gotham now that Falcone is dead, and Maroney's gonna come back and try to seize power, and you got Oz Cobblepot seizing power.
We know, it's from the Long Halloween, but then there's also some other stories of, if there's a line as, succession, that Maroney's right under Falcone. So Falcone's gone, it should be Maroney, and maybe that will come into play too. Where he's like, well, if he's gone, I'm in charge. Penguin's like,
Yep.
I'm a proprietor.
Love how the Nirvana song fits there in that scene. I love, I really get and really like actually the choice of having Bruce Wayne be the drifter Bruce Wayne, down in the element, as he says, to be able to be down there. He's witnessing, he's still there doing Batman things, but not in the Batman persona.
Maybe. And I thought about this the last time we talked, and you mentioned that about how Bruce wants to be down in the element and stuff. And first time I even thought of it, maybe that's a little year one influence because of the first panel in year one with Bruce. He's flying in a plane and he's like, I need to be down there. I don't know exactly what his line was, but I just thought of that when we were done talking last time. I was like, oh yeah, that panel. I don't see damn Bruce the Drifter, but I see this little line if he wants to be in the element.
Yeah, he's got the helmet on. He's in disguise. He's not in disguise as Batman. It's becoming daytime. And also it makes it much easier for him to come and go into the city from Wayne Tower, he goes down to this abandoned, where the Batcave is, this abandoned train terminal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more, it makes it more realistic, if you will. You're thinking, how does Batman get in and out of the city from Wayne Manor? And, no one ever follows him, and, things like that. Well, here he is, as this drifter motorcycle guy in disguise. And he's got half the bat suit on already.
Yeah.
And he just carries the other in a duffel bag or in a backpack.
And I like the mix up of shots as it's showing his trek across the city. One, it's making Gotham seem expansive, huge, which I like, and all of it fits. But some of that's got to be Glasgow, some of it's got to be London, some of it's definitely Chicago. That we see the first time the Gotham, what's it called, the arena, Gotham Square Garden. Which is the James R. Thompson Center in Chicago. We see that, and then he goes over the bridge, and it's such an identifier of Chicago, also because of like the railing on the bridge. But it's in one of the extras where they talk about, like, he's looking at it in its rear view, and then you see the camera shot of him going across the bridge. And I feel like way back there's the Wayne Tower used in the Dark Knight trilogy. But they'd said to make it not, oh yeah, obviously that's Chicago. It's like they flipped and reversed each side of the street just to try and make it different. And I found that kind of fascinating.
It is. Yeah.
But yeah, and then I don't know what bridge, that big bridge is that he goes across. And then when he's going underneath the couple of streets, I feel like that might be Chicago, but
it does make, it makes this Gotham seem way more expansive than maybe we've ever felt before, and very unique because the way they've mixed London, Glasgow, Liverpool, Chicago, along with, digital stuff.
So it may be
very unique. Yeah.
We see, so this establishes how he's getting in and out of his cave. And we only get it once, because why do we need it continuous times? Like the full on trip. And I was like, actually, that's kind of how I was going, now replaying live action Batman movies of other ones. And it's like, oh yeah, they've only like once in 89, we see how he gets into the cave. Just the one time though. Begins, we see him jump the waterfall, just the one time. But it's like, oh yeah, that's a good, I'd never thought of that before. We only see it once because that's all you need. And then it does explain, well, how does he get in and out? It's like, well, now you know. Now you know why people aren't following this Batman. Yeah. And everything. So it's interesting to see if they continue that with the next one, or if they, flip it or change it or something.
Yeah, even this Batcave it's preliminary, right? It's in the early stages. There's no mementos like we see in the comic book version with T-Rex and the giant penny and things like that. Big Joker card.
Oh,
I don't know. That stuff's
in the
cool.
sequel.
I was about to just say in all seriousness, there's some cool things about that we see in the comics. I don't know if we have to have it in this version, but again, Batman's in his early stages. The voiceover starts back up at that point. And I really like. I don't think that's the last. This is the last voiceover stuff we get until the end, right?
I think so.
He talks about, he wonders if he's making a difference. Crime is up still, even though what he's doing. Crime all around is up.
He wonders if the difference, but not the kind he'd hoped, or something. Or am I making that up? I thought he said I am.
That's at the, isn't that toward the, is that at the end? I don't know. I don't remember, to be honest. He mentions how he wonders the city's beyond saving, but he's got to try. So he's going to keep on. He goes, and then of course he goes back to the Bat Cave. I really looking at my notes. I wrote down. We just talked about it. That I really liked the drifter. I like the motorcycle. I like him having a second disguise, if you will, that allows him in and out of the city from Wayne Tower, from the Bat Cave. Instead of not as Batman. And it keeps that more of a realistic plot device of, okay, how does he do this? I don't think we ever had like a splash page shot of him like standing on a city rooftop or anything, in this film.
One thing I can,
I mean, him standing the only time I remember, I shouldn't know. I mean, he's up on the building where he meets Gordon, where the bat signal is, that's about it, right?
That, and then when is it the docks with Penguin? Like right before the Batmobile scene.
Yeah.
And when they arrive and he is, but I mean, that's really close. And it's not like you get a skyline.
Yeah, he's like on
him. It's pretty much dark.
It's like a 5-story building or something like top of a warehouse roof.
Top of a warehouse, yeah.
Yeah, he's not like on a freaking skyscraper.
So I don't think that's necessarily a splash page really either.
Yeah.
And that's all I can really think of.
And that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's fine. We don't, you don't have, it's got to be, I think it's more than just great setup shots and whatnot.
I think as we'll see, and maybe we can keep coming to this in each chapter of this might be the most personal and intimate Batman movie, because I think Batman's in like every single scene.
Yeah.
And then also I think the camera's pretty close always. It's not like always such far shots and everything. I mean, even in the Batmobile chase, I mean, it's close with the Penguin with the Batman right behind in the rear view. It's not just constant, copter shots overlooking stuff. So I just feel like it's, aside from, and now I'm going to contradict myself because we just talked about him riding the cycle to get to his Batcave, and I mean a lot of those are overhead shots, but I think a lot of the movie plays pretty close to Pattinson.
I was thinking when I went in to watch this chapter for the first time, and this, as we're analyzing each one, I wasn't sure where it would end. I know if it would end, at the end of the voiceover, and once he got to the Batcave, but it continues, and of course, he gets right off and he pulls out stuff and he's like doing his stuff with his technology. He takes out the contact lenses. That's when I saw it the first time. I went, oh, that's pretty cool. He's recorded all this, and I mean, he's analyzing the frickin', he's making he prints out a copy of of course he's not gonna be able to take the card with him, even though it's addressed to him. But he's got the image of it, he prints out, and he's already trying to,
it connects
decipher, and
I mean, by him narrating and starting with the date, you can imagine, but then we see, and it highlights like a couple of keywords that he'd done in his monologue, and you're like, oh, he's keeping it like it's a journal. But also, do you think that he's had the Batmobile, that he's taken the Batmobile out?
Not sure. It's still like it's getting put together, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's under the tarp, which that's not necessarily a big deal, but then it looks like there's a big freaking engine or a big piece of the engine like over a side too. So I don't know. It's just a thing that makes me wonder, and it's not. I don't need to know either way. But it's just like, I don't know. Wonder if he's had the Batmobile out yet or not.
I was like, when I saw it, I'm like, okay, I knew what it was.
Yeah.
think most people figured, because we saw the Batmobile in promo images and in the trailers and the TV spots, but I just was like, okay, he's still putting this thing together, which kind of played into the whole thing. He's still in the very early stages of becoming Batman still, even though he's been out and around for almost 2 years. And then we meet Alfred.
Bruce looks annoyed that Alfred's coming.
Exactly.
And that's interesting to me. I like Bruce and Alfred getting along, but the way that because it looks like he's just kind of, he's in his element as he's listening to the news and reading his stuff or whatever, and then he hears that elevator coming, and it's like an over the shoulder look, and just I don't know, just seems very much, not that he has some kind of drastic change on his face or anything, but then it's like
it's like shit, you know. I'm gonna have to stop Batmaning.
Yeah. Who wants that?
He's gonna make me do something normal, and he does come down. Bruce, it's great because there's a payoff to all this eventually. There's a payoff to Bruce not being, I mean, you don't dislike him, but you're like, that's a pretty cold son of a bitch. He's just all about being Batman. I mean, that's, and there's the whole aspect.
There's to say all his short answers, short responses to Alfred, pretty short and whatever. And then he's like, even the Alfred, you're not my father. And then Alfred tries to say something else. He's like, Alfred, stop. It's just like, it's very, very cold and not, I don't know.
What we don't know yet, because we don't know yet, the audience, that he actually loves Alfred quite a bit, that he keeps him at a distance because he doesn't want to lose anybody that he cares about again. He doesn't want to go through that anymore. We find that out later on in the film, and it's a big part of Bruce's arc in the movie. So even that, the way Bruce is being written, the way Pattinson is playing him, the way Reeves is directing Pattinson to play it, makes total sense, because there is a payoff, there is an arc, there is a change in him. And there's, he tells him that, have a shower, the Wayne accountants are coming from, Wayne Enterprises. And he's like, why?
Yeah.
Here. And, Alfred tells him, because I can't get you to go there.
The Alfred's line of like, because there'll be nothing left.
Yeah.
That, it might have been the second trailer that he said that. And I remember when this part came on in the movie, and I was like, oh, that's here. Because I mean, it just seems like that's such a line of like, third act, shit's hit the fan, everything's really bad. And he says, you won't have anything left. And so I was like, oh, that's here. That's pretty early on.
And it's pretty, and he doesn't care. He couldn't care less about anything Wayne Enterprises. He doesn't care about the money. He doesn't care. And then, Alfred brings up his family's legacy, and he's basically, again, alluding back to the Wayne murders and why he's doing what he's doing. This is my family's legacy. Batman is my family's legacy. Yep. And he makes it clear he doesn't care what happens to him, which we're going to find out later on in the movie that, and it's the Alfred scene in the hospital, right? Is the whole I've mastered what he's mastered his emotions. He doesn't care if he dies, and we get why he's like the way he is at this time, and it's not Alfred's fault. Alfred thinks it's his fault that he needed a father, and Alfred thinks he failed him. He really didn't, though. I don't think.
Bruce is Batman. Alfred didn't fail him.
That's right. It's just he didn't fail him. It'll be interesting to see where they go with the Alfred Batman relationship in the next film as well.
I have no insider info. I think we'll get more Batman Alfred we're used to. For sure.
Yeah. And I think the last shot, isn't it? The last shot of this chapter is Alfred looking at the video that Batman shot with his lenses of the kid.
Again, emphasizing that point.
Yeah, and
for
also,
me, that reminder. I mean, that
it took Alfred back to Bruce when it happened to him, and more of the, like we just talked about, that his belief that he failed Bruce.
Yep,
because he's like, look at, you're doing all this crazy crazy shit, dressing like a bat and beating the hell out of people.
Yeah.
I think Pattinson was talking about this Bruce Wayne at the beginning of the film and Batman. He said, he's a weirdo as Batman and he's a weirdo as Bruce Wayne, and pretty much nails it. And there's no action really. There's no action, except if you want to say like him riding on a motorcycle is action, but I mean, he's just not like he's speeding. He's just, riding the motorcycle, but it's a lot of information in this scene. It sets up a lot of things that we see throughout the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
For it not to be just, this huge action piece, and it's a lot of stuff and it's really well done. So I really like Happy Effing Halloween. This chapter, Ryan. Where do you rank it out of the 18? I'm kidding.
That'll be the last episode we do. Let's rank each chapter.
Each chapter. Overall, we'll wind up here. What's your overall take on chapter 2 of the Batman Happy Effing Halloween?
It's creating some good story foundation. Given some weight to this Batman that we were just introduced to, the kick-ass version, but now we're seeing another side of this Batman. We're seeing these people's feelings and thoughts about this Batman, and then Bruce takes off the mask. We see what he's like with, what should be his number one ally in Alfred. And at this point, the only one that knows what Bruce is doing. So yeah, just fleshing out the story a little bit.
Let me ask you this. Were you thinking, while you're watching it for the first time, were you thinking, I'm not going to like how they're doing the Bruce Alfred relationship? Because you don't know at that time what's coming later on,
Yeah, and I don't know, and that's a case where I think I'm too close to it, and knowing, oh yeah, that's the whole point, that this Bruce is supposed to be like this, and he'll get some redemption. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
So I don't think I was thinking about that at all.
Yeah.
And I think it makes it pretty, I mean, when you start off like him and Alfred, you start them off in that place, you're just kind of like, well, there's their arc. They're going to be okay. We know how this arc's going to end up. Don't know how exactly, but they're going to be okay. Because they're starting in shit.
Yeah. All right. So that'll do it for Happy Effing Halloween, chapter 2 of the Batman on episode 73 of the Batman on Film Social Hour. Ryan, would you like to plug anything?
What are you doing here?
What the hell's going on here?
What's going on here?
I want savage in that voice to have a conversation with your version of Mr. Freeze.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if I can.
What the hell's going on here?
What's going on here? I'm getting some diamonds. That's the line I got. Getting some diamonds. So the actor's name is Alex Ferns, who plays Pete. I think he was in, I want to say he was in that HBO series Chernobyl, but I think in a really small part. I don't know how he talks. Like, I don't know what his normal voice sounds like.
He's a British actor, isn't he?
I think so.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious if his normal everyday talk is that high pitched. Wouldn't that be something? He comes to the Batman, dark, gritty movie, and he's all high pitched, and then his normal voice is something like, actually, that'd be something.
Yeah.
This guy's got range.
Yeah.
All right, I'll plug away now. Right. Reviews and interviews and such, all that's on Batman on Film proper. Most recent interview is the new era of the Batman comics from Chip Zdarsky and Jorge Jimenez, Batman number 125. That review is on BOF. My podcast, the Batman Book Club, is also on BOF. The most recent episode was a sit-down conversation with legendary Batman artist Kelly Jones. Check that out on Batman on Film. I think it's still on the main page. And coming up later this week is going to be Batman and the Monster Men with another Ramey, Micah Ramey. That one's already in the can. And yeah, that one will drop later this week, wherever you listen to podcasts.
I on occasion, I just drive over to the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, Brian, and I park and I just walk around. I just hang out.
Mm-hmm.
I'll buy a ticket just so I can go through security, and I don't get on the plane, right? So I just walk the concourses and I get on the shuttles and go to each different concourse. If you've been to DFW, it's a huge airport. So I did that yesterday just for fun. And that's what I do because I'm retired.
Sure.
And that's kind of pathetic. So I got to, invent fun.
Yeah.
And so I go do that, and there I am, and all of a sudden there's Micah Ramey.
Wow.
DFW. So I said, well, you know what? I'll just take you to lunch.
Yeah.
So it added something extra to my, hanging out at the airport.
I hope by now they just give you a parking pass, so they don't charge you anymore.
You know what? I'm working on that. Mm-hmm. I'd like to just get a security badge.
No, that works.
I got enough clout for that, right?
Yeah.
If I can get an award in 1998 for
starting
Batman on Film on a web TV.
Yeah.
And it'd be in New York City. I can at least get one of those, like I work at one of the restaurants or bars, or I'm a vendor.
Yeah.
I just go through, I hang out at the airport all day, walk up around the concourses. But yeah, I just ran into my son, took him to lunch.
So
brought him back. And
if anybody in the BOF Facebook page is at the Dallas-Fort Worth airport and see you, you will take them to lunch. What if they just allow you to have a setup? You can set up your own little tent where you're just making gumbo. Welcome to Texas. Here's a little bowl of gumbo.
Yes. That's the ticket.
There you go. All right. You got it.
I'm going to pitch that to the higher ups at the DFW airport and set up what do they call it? What are they, like a pop-up restaurant, pop-up. Yeah.
Gumbo greetings.
Yes.
There you go. Gumbo greetings. Yes. Welcome to Texas. Here you go. I'd have been happy if you'd have served me a bowl of that gumbo as soon as I got off the plane when I was in Dallas. Woo.
Yeah.
Wow, Texas rocks.
You walk that, the walkway from the plane to the terminal. And as soon as you get out, somebody hands you a bowl of steaming hot gumbo.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Every day, all day.
And then I want to, I should get Pete down here, and he has a boudin stand where he just smokes boudin.
And they're like, I want one. And he pulls it out of his pocket and hands it to him.
Exactly.
and you just kind of wonder, like, man, is there any end to his pocket? Because he's just pulling them out every pocket and just
it's
them
like they're like magical boudin pockets. You know, like a magician, and they like there's a ribbon or a scarf that just never ends coming out of something. It's kind of like his pockets are with boudin.
I think this makes total sense. You've been championing Texas your whole life. You're the gumbo guru of Texas. It only makes sense that they have you be the greeter.
Yes,
with gumbo.
Even though it's really like like the state dish of Louisiana.
Not to me.
It doesn't. Not that it is. You know, we're going to take that away from Louisiana. We're going to start at DFW.
I ate Popeye's chicken in Louisiana. I ate gumbo in Texas.
Yeah, so there you go.
That's how I see it.
All right, that's what I'm going to do. So yes, if you're at DFW and you see me, I will give you a bowl of gumbo.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to take you to a restaurant, but I will give you a bowl of gumbo at my new pop-up gumbo stand at DFW.
It's official.
Yes. Just got to figure out which concourse. Probably C or A. I think they're the two busiest. Yep, that's going to be it for sure.
All right.
I'm going to work on getting Pete in his boudin pockets down there. All right.
Get him down there.
If you like what we do here at Batman on Film, we want to help keep the thing going. Keep it going. Patreon, patreon.com/Batman on Film. If you want to advertise on Batman on Film, advertisecast.com/Batman on Film. And you want to represent Batman on Film with a t-shirt, TeePublic, TeePublic.com/Batman on Film. Get you a Batman t-shirt and whatever. You can get stickers, you can get a hat. I think we have cows now.
Oh yeah. Perfect.
Batman on Film cows.
Yeah, and they're the blue ones that you repurposed and freshened up, right?
Yep.
In the 60s.
100%.
Perfect.
100%. All right, so that's going to do it for this episode. This is going to be fun, right? Talking about this movie chapter by chapter. Didn't think I can get an hour of a show from a 10-minute clip, but you know what?
Yeah.
Proved that wrong, didn't we?
I also have this really bad habit of I cannot provide short answers. You ask a question, I'm just like, blah, 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 blah.
Well, you are thorough and detailed.
That's right. That's what I'll try and say.
All right. So for Ryan, I am Bill. Thanks for listening, and catch you on the next show. Thanks a lot. Goodbye. Eat gumbo and have boudin.
Thanks for listening to the BOF Social Hour, Jet's official vlog and podcast on Batman on Film. Follow Jet on Twitter @BatmanOnFilm. Follow the BOF newsfeed on Twitter @TheBatmanOnFilm. For Jet and everyone at BOF, I'm announcer Rachel. Authoritative, definitive, the original, Batman on Film, established in 1998.